there's been a real change in consumer behavior as a result of Black Friday and a potential preview of what's to come with some of the tariffs. Let's put this on the screen, for example. Just wanted to talk about this. It's called Shoppers Fight Back as the retailers crack down on returns. So as retailers are trying to basically increase prices and increase their margins.
Welcome to the breakdown. Today, we're unpacking how retailers have weaponized tariffs as a smokescreen to price gouge Americans, as if we're not already used to that. It is a masterclass in corporate greed, mixed with the usual excuses and a sprinkle of AI dystopia. We'll dig into how these tactics hurt consumers, inflate profits, and push blame onto tariffs that are meant to protect national security. Let's break it down point by point, calling out hypocrisy, bias, and what needs to change.
They have been putting a lot of stuff in the fine print about charging for returns and about making it more difficult to actually achieve the return policy, which most people are used to. And what we have seen is the rise of the informed consumer. And I actually think inflation has prompted a lot of people to read fine print, actually look at some of the stuff that they're buying, their ability to return, and also about the way that they're really getting screwed by a lot of these retailers. So what they point to, but what we have seen as well is that this is largely a result, not necessarily of not of the retailers, but it's largely a result of consumers who continually feel like they're getting ripped off because of increasing prices, and that those increasing prices, that informed consumer has changed dramatically. Like in terms of the grocery store, there's been a reported massive increase in the number of people who do couponing. Like, people make fun of extreme couponing, but like most people in the lower inflation times, they weren't really paying attention. But there's been a lot of increase in that, in bargain hunting, in the rise of a discount, grocery store and all that.
This speaks volumes about how desperate people have become. It is not just about saving a buck anymore, it is survival. And while corporations cry about bad actors returning items, they are the ones manipulating return policies to trap customers.
All that's a bad thing, by the way, because it means that people are spending too much money. But I thought it was an interesting development. And since it pairs well with what we're about to get to with tariff.
There's kind of an arms race going on between the retailers and the shoppers, effectively. And, this is also just online shopping is fully mature now, and shoppers are fully mature and fully schooled in the best ways of going about online shopping. So especially if you're shopping for clothes and you're not sure what size you are, like one thing people will do is called bracketing, is they'll buy like size up, the size they think they are, and size down, and then they'll just return so that they can, try them on at home and then just return whichever pieces don't fit, which seems to me entirely reasonable behavior, honestly, because if you're not going to be in the store, then that's a good way to figure out what size you actually want. So if you're a frequent returner, they're going to start charging you more for shipping and you more for returns.
This is dystopian garbage. Instead of using AI to innovate or improve efficiency, they're turning it into a weapon against their own customers. It is all about maximizing profits at the expense of trust and fairness.
Whereas someone else who has a different social trust return score doesn't get charged in that way. And so, this is the way that AI, rather than what we would like to see, which is when new technology comes online, which has the potential to like profoundly transform the way humanity behaves and that it would be used in service of humanity.
Could we just stop inventing words or phrases? Social trust scores? More like, here's one for you. How about we call it corporate greed scores, punishing loyal customers for daring to return their own purchases? What's next? A subscription to breathe in their stores? And the kicker to it all? I'm sure there's some bigwig executive who got paid a lot of money to innovate and come up with the term social trust score. Give me an effing break.
But instead, frequently what we see, because it's used solely for profit, is companies almost like weaponizing it against people. We see this with the spot pricing as well. Similar thing where it's like, oh, you can afford this, so I'm going to gouge you specifically. I'm going to use a deal with you to lure you in because I know your vulnerabilities. Once you're in the store, then you're going to buy other stuff. And, so this is a somewhat dystopian use of AI. I think that's being deployed here. And we owe one more way that everything we do, all of our behavior is just being like tracked and weaponized against us. Let's put this up on the screen from the Wall Street Journal. You also have a lot of retailers who are basically like using the threat of tariffs to get people to buy stuff now. There's this company called Finally Home Furnishings. They put on their Facebook, they say pre-tariff sale. This is not a drill. And apparently this is also kind of taken off online. There's a lot of like TikTok discourse about
We're about
this.
to get to that, but just listen to this dishonesty. The very same, this is Finally Home Furnishings. The very same items you are seeing now will double the price once the tariffs kick in. Double the price.
Double, really? Last time we checked, tariffs are 25%, not 100%. The math does not add up because once again, this is not about covering costs. It is about manipulating perception and squeezing consumers dry.
Interesting. I thought it was a 25% tariff. So even if you do assume that all of the cost gets passed on to the consumer, where do the extra 75% go? So everyone should just get ready that there will be a lot of chicanery that is happening here. But also, this is a perfect preview into why we need tariffs in the first place. What exactly is Final Home Furnishings or Wayfair or any of these other places that you buy? It's cheap cardboard shit from China, Target, Kohl's. Where do you think all that shit's coming from? Not America, not Mexico, same thing. It's all from China. At best, it's from Vietnam.
This is not just about price gouging. It is about how the system trains us to accept low quality, disposable goods as normal. And who profits most from that? The very retailers crying about tariffs.
I mean, look, I understand, like, it is a bedrock of the American experience. And
Yeah.
This is a little bit preachy, so, sorry. But this is the fundamental problem with our economy. So if you look inside of this, you can see clearly that they are prepped and they are ready to make sure that they will use the tariffs as an excuse. I think I said yesterday that the funniest possible outcome will be major tariffs and then price controls from Donald Trump. But honestly, though, anybody who is, artificially increasing prices because of tariffs, which are imposed for national security purposes, I would personally say that is an act of treason. But, we'll see how the government decides to treat them, because I don't think it's right, especially if we're talking about, like Best Buy. Best Buy says, oh, the demand for consumer electronics is going to go down.
And that really is the sort of foundation of the neoliberal era social contract. Now, I think across the board tariffs is crazy. I think certain things it doesn't make any sense to make here, and you are just driving up prices for really no good reason. But do I think that this is going to be backed by any sort of like other policy that could help us realize some other national or personal identity? No, I think it's mostly just going to amount to people being pissed off that prices are a lot higher than they used to be. Oh, and by the way, you haven't done anything to deal with my housing costs. You haven't done anything to deal with my healthcare costs.
Tariffs are not the issue here. It is the greed and lack of accountability from retailers and policymakers alike. Until we address the root causes of these problems, we will keep playing this rigged game.
You haven't done anything to deal with my education costs. So it's just like pain with nothing to balance it out on the other side. But if you had that broader program, that would be something that I would be interested in.
It'd be amazing. Look, I know I've been talking a lot about how great Japan is, but you know what they do in Japan? They buy quality goods. Their bullet trains are from the 90s. You don't need to, when people are respectful and they don't trash the train, there's not much of crime, and the stuff is actually well made and good, turns out you can use that shit for 30 years and it doesn't break. It was a shocking transformative experience for me to be in a first world country which is not built on the bedrock of like cheap bullshit and consumption.
Retailers have taken tariffs, a tool meant to protect, and turned them into a weapon to gouge Americans. The worst part? They are not even subtle about it. From bogus price hikes to AI-driven penalties, it is clear that greed is the only thing driving these policies. We need real accountability. Is this just business as usual, or is it time to demand better? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more bold and unapologetic content.